So to begin with, maybe we can just take a couple of deep breaths, grab an oil of your choice. I'm going to pin myself as the main presenter, and I'll keep the chat open so that if anyone who's live wants to ask a question, you're able to. Of course, if you're watching this recording and you have any questions at all, my virtual doors are open. Feel free to message me at any time and ask away. I'm going to be using the oil of rosemary. Maybe you want to pop in the chat what it is that you're using. Blue lotus, bergamot. So good. And perhaps as we come into a state of receptivity for the class tonight, you might want to pop your hands on your heart space or even just drop your hands to your lap with the palms facing up. And close your eyes if that feels comfortable enough to do so. And if for whatever reason closing your eyes is not appropriate, that's fine too. The intention for closing the eyes is simply for us to come into the present moment, to eradicate outside distraction. So perhaps you'd like to anchor your breath, your heartbeat, perhaps you'd like to set an intention for your presence tonight. And not only what is it that you're looking to get, which is important, but what is it that you're looking to give? Is it your attention, your focus? Is it honesty? Truth? Allow that word to sit with you as you take 3 deep breaths in through the nose and out the nose. And as you breathe these 3 breaths, progressively seeing if you can extend the exhalation for longer than the inhalation. And then whenever you're ready, you can come back, blinking your eyes open. Okay. If you'd like to share with me what your gift to yourself is for this evening, feel free to pop it in the chat. Mine's connection, service, and the gift of my presence fully and 100%. Kaz says compassion and presence, truth and presence. I love that. Thank you. And, you know, if you're watching this recording, which I'm sure you are, if you're here and not here, then make sure that you're also participating in these moments of self-reflection and question, because quite often this is where a lot of the juice actually comes from, when we sit with ourselves and we inquire as to what it is that we're feeling or what it is that we're looking to give. I am not going to do death by PowerPoint tonight. I'm going to have a conversation with you about burnout. I'm going to have a conversation with you about the manifestations of burnout. And also, I'm going to share with you some tools, particularly pertaining to aromatherapy, on how we can support ourselves through times of stress, challenge, and burning out. I'm also going to share with you some recipes. And for those of you who are watching that do not have a doTERRA account, I'm going to offer the perfect kit for you to get started, as well as some really beautiful bonuses if you do decide to sign up within the next 24 hours. And so without further ado, let's start with what this class is about. I do have notes, which is a rarity for me. Because normally I just ad lib, but I wanted to make sure that I covered a whole bunch of things tonight. And so if you see me casting my eye over to the side, it's just because I'm taking my notes in. Yeah. This class is dedicated to the high achievers amongst us, which pretty much is everyone who's on this call. Because when I say burnout, when I say the word burnout and it resonates with you, it's probably because you're experiencing some sort of burnout. And there are different types of burnout, as we're going to learn. But mostly it's high achievers who keep pushing themselves to the brink of burnout, i.e., the brink of a nervous breakdown, thinking that it's normal. You might have entered the cycle of feast and famine, pushing yourself to reach a certain goals, and then falling into a heap only to recover months later to do it all again. This time together is for you. Hi, Sandra. My intention is to open your mind to not only using plant medicine to comfort and support yourself, but also, very importantly, to see and experience new ways of living. Ways that have you making good decisions, ways that have you feeling great, ways that perhaps you've not thought about before. Living a life that is full of magnificent surprises. And although this may sound like I'm talking about living in a dream world, I'm not. And before you ask if it's possible, yes, it is. And I'm living proof of this. So firstly, I want to qualify myself in speaking about this topic from an experiential point of view, and also from helping and supporting other women through my coaching and mentoring programs. I'm not going to spend any time tonight retelling my burnout story. You can read that on my website, on my social channels. And what I am going to do is share with you ways to support yourself through whatever it is that you're experiencing. Maybe your clients are experiencing something similar, or even family members and community members, so that you can come out the other side of this challenge intact. So for those who I have not yet met, my name is Arianna. I've been teaching these methods to women from all over the world. And even though I'm not going to be running through all of the methods, because that would really take too long, what I am going to do is talk about aromatherapy. That's what we're here for. I'm going to talk about aromatherapy in particular to support you when you're healing your mind, your body, your emotions from burnout. These are the exact blends and recipes I used, and I'm thrilled to be able to share them with you, knowing from experience that they have worked. I'll be sharing these recipes in a PDF for you as well. So don't feel like you have to take notes. If you want to, if that's the way that you learn, then go right ahead. But I'm going to send this along in a recording to you as well. And if you decide to purchase this kit at the end of our session, you'll receive a lot of little bonuses with this kit as well. So just to let you know that we're going to be identifying key concepts about burnout If anyone has any questions about burnout or they want to share their story, you can pop a note in the chat and we will get to it at the end. We've got a lot to get through in the next 40 minutes. So, who here has experienced some sort of burnout before? Yeah. And I'd really love to know, what was it that made you think or feel or know that you are experiencing burnout? And you can either think it to yourself. If you want to share it with me, you can pop it in the chat, or you just take a mental note for yourself. Now, while you're thinking about that, I don't know if anyone's going to pop it in the chat. I don't expect full engagement. But when we talk about burnout, we're looking at things like, well, first we have to identify a key concept of what burnout actually is, and then notice it in our lives, and then see from those two aspects, what are the consequences, both personally and also from a statistical and commercial perspective too, because these signs and symptoms and manifestations will have an impact on our lives, not only in one area, but in all areas. There's a chat message that just came through: unable to remain in a regulated state. Most days I was sitting in overwhelm. 100%. Yeah. And we're going to be talking about overwhelm a lot tonight as well. Burnout happens when you're overwhelmed, right? It happens when you're overwhelmed. It happens when you are exhausted of trying to keep up with this state of having to be enough, the enoughness, trying to do it all, trying to have it all. And a lot of the times, not all the times, but a lot of the times it can really come from this place of feeling unworthy and needing to prove yourself so that you can be part of something that you deem yourself not part of yet. So burnout also happens when you're emotionally drained and unable to keep up with life's incessant demands. The condition isn't medically diagnosed, but that doesn't mean for one second that it's not evident as a physical manifestation. So some more notes that have come through the chat: exhaustion, emotional dysregulation, brain fog, pain. Yes, 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 yes. Exhausted, alone, on the other side of the world, trying to prove myself. Yes. Gosh, these are all signs and symptoms of burnout. I think what's really interesting is that burnout cannot be medically diagnosed, right? It's a feeling, it's a state. And yes, there are markers that can really help us ascertain as to whether or not our physical body is under stress and duress, such as metabolic markers, cortisol levels, nervous system regulation, etc. But the term burnout is not a medical term. But we know for a fact, I mean, even looking at these examples here, these testimonials on what burnout has felt like for you, burnout affects your physical, your mental health. Yeah, especially if you don't acknowledge it or treat it, because you're going to be pushing uphill if you don't do either of those things. The thing with burnout that's really interesting is that it can be highly practiced. So you can practice to get better at dealing with the symptoms and the manifestations of burnout. Who here started with burnout and then just pushed through it, practice to get better at dealing with the symptoms of burnout, and then you push through and you push through and you push through? And from a psychological perspective, we're looking here at like a multi-generational belief structure, right? A multi-generational belief structure, which means that in order for us to change our relationship with burnout, we have to change our beliefs, which means that we need to become aware of the beliefs that we have so that we can choose whether or not we want to continue with that belief structure. The more willingness we have to move through these belief structures to choose differently, the more we can heal from the manifestations of whatever it is we're experiencing, which obviously leads to epic changes. So if you think back to what you witnessed as a child growing up, Was there ever a point in your life where you were watching someone that you were close to, a caregiver, a loved one, someone who you looked up to? Was there ever a time where you saw these people working really hard, pushing themselves to the brink? And, you know, this could be the physical work. This could be emotionally pushing themselves. Like, remember, burnout isn't a one-size-fits-all thing. It can be an emotional thing. It can be experienced in the physical body as well. It can be a mental thing. So it happens in all of these realms. And it does happen when a person, like the ultimate burnout, if you're looking for like a burnout score, burnout is when a person reaches a total mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion. And it's sometimes can have similar symptoms to that of a nervous breakdown. It's accompanied by physical manifestations such as headaches, nausea, sleeping difficulties, fatigue. Yeah. The irony is that the more tired you get, the less you're able to sleep because your nervous system is in a state of dysregulation, so that you're quite wired. So it not only from all of these physical manifestations, it reduces your productivity, it saps your energy, it leaves you feeling helpless, hopeless, cynical, resentful, and eventually you may feel like you have nothing left in the tank to give. The negative effects of burnout spill out into every single area of your life, including your home, work, and social life. And so it's really important to start recognizing the signs of burnout early with coaching, counseling, understanding yourself really deeply. And then along with the essential oil support and other practices and tools that I'm going to share with you tonight, hopefully you will start to feel better and recover quicker. You may be more susceptible to burnout if you've worked long hours, you struggle with work-life balance, you work in a profession like the healing arts, or you're a caregiver, or you're a teacher, you're a coach. Anybody? You feel like you have little or no control over your life or your work. And, you know, something that's really interesting is that we think we're going to heal from burnout and then that's it, we're done. Like we will never experience burnout again. But because like I said, it's like a belief system and a structure, you have to keep tabs on it. You have to really watch yourself move through life, because if you've got a pattern of burnout within your psyche, chances are it's going to be a very easy pattern to slip back into. So even if you've recovered from burnout once, it's important for you to check in to see what it was that pushed you to the point of burnout so that you can start to self-regulate. So a question that I could ask you if you were sitting in front of me and we were one-on-one was, what happened just before the last time you felt like shutting the world out? What was it about that experience? It could be a singular moment. It could be a series of moments. Like, what was it that put you at a point in your life where you were like, I'm done, I'm finished. Cell phone off, close the curtains, under the covers, you know, that kind of experience. A comment came through, I think I pushed through so many pressures until something external forced me to stop. Once I stopped, I realized how bad I was physically, mentally, and emotionally. Yeah, I resonate with that as well. It's happened with me too, Megan. Yeah. I pulled up some really interesting stats about burnout, which I thought was just super fascinating. I'd love to share with you tonight. So millennials are actually the most burnt out generation. Can you believe that? 59% experiencing some symptoms of burnout. I, in my mind, kind of thought that millennials would have this down packed because they grew up with technology. But no, ma'am. Gen Zers, depending on where you are in the world, burn out much faster than any other generation. They went from 47 to 58% in just the last year, experiencing burnout. This tells me that their nervous systems are highly strung, that regardless of the fact that they've grown up with technology and a fast-paced life, that doesn't It doesn't replace a regulated nervous system. Now, think about this commercially. This is a huge impact on our businesses, the economy at large. Some stats on this undiagnosable issue, right? This thing that people in white coats cannot diagnose. It's a huge effect on the workforce. Let's look at Australia alone. In December 2022, research was done. Australian workers report the highest levels of burnout. 1/3 of employers report more than 20% staff turnover in 12 months. That's a huge turnover rate. In Europe, let's look at it from a dollar perspective. Approximately 560 to 695 billion Australian dollars per year in Europe was lost in productivity due to people saying that they were unwell because they were stressed and they felt burnt out. Think about that. It's huge. Globally, 70 to 77% of people say that they struggle with burnout. 70 to 77% of the global population say they struggle with burnout. 91% say that unmanageable stress or frustration impacts their quality of work and life. And 83% say burnout can negatively impact their relationships. Huge stats there. All right, so the point I'm trying to make with all of these different stats is that you may think that you're experiencing burnout and that it's you in your corner of the world feeling overwhelmed, helpless, hopeless, cynical, resentful. But I can guarantee you that there's another 87% of the population that feels exactly the same. And I think one of the things that really contributes to this feeling of being burnt out is a feeling of loneliness, a feeling that you just cannot handle it all, that you cannot cope with it all. And I think half of the problem is that we don't really talk about it. You know, when you're burnt out, you don't have the capacity to explain to someone how you're feeling. And if you knew that someone else was feeling similar to you, that does bring back a feeling of hope because it connects us as a species, as people. So all of this is an attempt for me to help you see that burnout is not an isolated thing. And to also, when you're going through periods of feeling close to burning out, that you reach out to someone, or on the other end of that, if you ever see someone getting to the point of burning out, that you, if you have the capacity to do so, that you reach out to them, you share these tools that you have, that you've learned, that you continue to learn with them. You lend them an ear or a shoulder and you support them to get through it. Because if a large portion of the population is experiencing burnout and loneliness, compounded on top of that, if all we need to do is send a text or pick up the phone, we can really support people who are closest to us. All righty. Are there any questions thus far? No. All right, let's get into some oily magic, right? So we look at things like the manifestations of burnout. As I mentioned, a lot of it, yes, of course, I can email that all to you. I'm actually going to put all of this that I prepared tonight onto a blog post on my website because I think it's really important that it's out there. So I'll send the link off to you as well. So manifestations of burnout look like headaches, high blood pressure, nausea, sleeping difficulties, fatigue, low blood pressure, exhaustion. Emotionally, we're looking at what I've said before: helplessness, hopelessness, cynical, resentful, overwhelmed, unworthy. It's a nice big pile of blah there. Anything else that you've experienced from burnout? Any other? Let's look at the physical manifestations first. Anything other than headaches, nausea, sleeping difficulties, fatigue, and exhaustion? Share with me. Numb, yeah. Would you classify that as an emotion or a physical sensation? Aches and pains, yep.
I think my biggest one was irritability. Like, I can't handle the kids when they're getting upset, and I end up on the same level as they do, and it just does not work.
Yep. I'm writing it down so I can make sure I address everything. Yeah. Physical, emotional. Isn't it interesting how we actually start to experience burnout from a mental point of view? It affects our emotions, and then it obviously makes its way into our physical bodies. So for those of us who are listening to this right now and you're like, oh, I don't really understand that. When we have a thought that creates a chemical reaction in the brain, that chemical reaction makes its way through what we know is called a neuropeptide, and it makes its way into the body. And that neuropeptide can, well, it's not just a thought, that's an emotion, right? The neuropeptide makes its way into the body. And if we're not able to process that emotion, if we're not able to speak to someone, reach out to someone, move the body, cry, laugh, sneeze, cough, whatever it is that our body does to try and move that emotion through our body, it can lodge itself within the body. And this is where we start to experience aches and pains. This is where we start to experience physical manifestations from this sense of burning out. So this nausea, this headache, this aches and pains that you may feel in your body is basically this energy, this emotion that gets stuck in the physical body. And yes, it can get so bad that you're feeling it physically. This is not saying that the physical manifestations are not real. They absolutely 100% are. But it can be as simple as moving the body, as making sure that you nourish your physical body with good food, supplements, that you take time away from your screen. So everything that I'm sharing with you tonight is not just about using the oils. We have to use our common sense as well here. We have to look at the things that we're feeding our bodies. What are we watching? What are we listening to? Who are we spending our time with? What are the actual physical foods that we are eating? What are we drinking? How are we nourishing ourselves? And so the first thing that I'm always going to suggest when we're talking about burning out and supporting the physical body is supplementation. Of course, good food, yes, but supplementation is always going to be something that I recommend. And of course, because we're working with doTERRA and we're all here because we're loving our doTERRA products, or you're interested in falling in love with your doTERRA products, I'm always going to suggest that you start with something called Lifelong Vitality. The Lifelong Vitality range. This is not a Lifelong Vitality class, so I can send some information across to you on how this range really does support you. But you're looking at things like food complex, like a food complex. You're looking at something like a cellular energy complex, and you're looking at omegas. And taking these each day, I've been doing it now for 5 or 6 weeks. I take half a dose, so I don't even take the full recommended dose, which means that these bottles last forever because there's 120 capsules in the bottle. And because I take half the dose, it actually lasts me double the amount of time. And so I honestly feel so different when I take my LLV versus when I don't. So making sure that you're nourishing your body and that you're taking care of yourself, because knowing that our soils are depleted, knowing that we don't really get what we need, even if you're buying fully organic, there is some supplementation that's necessary. Another thing that I've started taking that's really great is the Ice Blue Polyphenol Complex, which is excellent for aches and pains, particularly when you're experiencing some physical manifestations of burnout. So this Ice Blue Polyphenol Complex has got a lot of extracts, and the formula is specifically to help with inflammation and to support the general health and well-being of your musculoskeletal system. This is an excellent blend that I've been taking now for about 2-3 weeks, and it's a really, really beautiful blend. So these are the supplements that I would suggest you start with if you're not on any supplements. I know a lot of naturopaths that have nothing to do with doTERRA that actually recommend these products. So they're really, really great products. They've been certified by the TGA, well, some of them anyway. And if you're looking at adding a supplement regime to your current protocol, let me know and I can send some information to you about it. We are going to be, as of now and over the next month or so, releasing a product line called Meta Power, which is an excellent range for supporting our metabolic health. Now, I have not started with this range, and so therefore I'm not going to be speaking from experience with it. However, I have read a lot of testimonials over the last week about it, and I've learned a lot about this product at the doTERRA convention that I was just at last week. Actually, Kaz was there as well. So we learned a lot about this range, and from what we can tell, it's phenomenal. So I think, you know, metabolic health is something that I have been working on with my own healthcare professionals for the last, 2 years now. I get tested metabolically. I check my cortisol levels. You know, when you start experiencing the other side of burnout, you want to make sure you never go back into it again. So you keep a tab on making sure that your body is regulated, which is why I've been seeing a healthcare professional. And yeah, I think that this metabolic range is going to be excellent. So watch this space. I'm going to be doing this little program as of next month called the Meta Power Resets. So this is partly a course that doTERRA runs individually, teaching you about the products and how these products can support you metabolically. And there's also a program that we're going to be running as part of our team with a whole bunch of really cool naturopaths and nutritionists that are going to go through this metabolic health regime. So more on that some other time. But it's important for us to start there because it could, you can use all the oils in the world, you can smell them until you're blue in the face, but if you're not taking care of your physical body and the systems of your body, you're just going to burn out again and again and again. The other really important thing to do is to bookend your days. We know that when we're burnt out, we have less tolerance, we have less capacity to do things. And so you're bookending, you could be bookending 3 hours of work, 4 hours of work, but the idea is that you bookend it, meaning you find something to do before you start working and you find something to do after you stop working. It could be a breath work practice, it could be a movement practice, it could be reading a book, having a nap. It's got to be something that you can use to identify the start and the end of your working day. And we do this because, you know, since COVID and before, I had burnout way before COVID multiple times. So it's not only a product of COVID, but when you work from home or you work for yourself, it's very easy, very, very easy to work late into night, to wake up, sit behind your laptop. I mean, we're sitting here right now at 7:30. I didn't start work at 12 today, did I? Unfortunately not. I started really early. So my point is that a lot of the times we, because we love what we do and we're genuinely interested in everything that we have to share and to offer, it's very, very natural for us to want to give more. So you want to start bookending your days and being very discerning about what you allow into your calendar. Very discerning about what you allow into your calendar. If it doesn't contribute to the end goal, it doesn't belong in your calendar. Simple. If it's something that you really love doing and you want to do it because it brings you joy, that's fine, but don't make it a part of your work life. Yeah. Be very discerning about what is work or what is the element that you're trying to achieve in, and then segregate all of the other areas in your life just so that you can have some clear boundaries. Megan says, I work from home, but I learned and made specific spaces for my different tasks. Yeah, so important. So, so important. Hi, Ali. I hope I'm saying your name right. All right, so let's get to this, the physical manifestation. So we have the deep blue polyphenol, which is going to help you with your aches and pains. For headaches, from an energetic perspective, when we have headaches, it means that there's a lot of energy that's pulling up in the upper parts of the body. So really what we want to do is draw the energy down. So I can give you therapeutic aids that are going to help you with headaches, such as peppermint, blends like past tense. But from an energetic perspective, and when I'm looking at it from an emotional perspective, which is energetic, I'm looking to draw the energy down. So I'm going to be using a blend called Balance, the grounding blend. I'm going to pop the blend onto the soles of my feet. Yeah, so good. And I'm going to take a deep breath in. In fact, Balance is my anchor. Balance is my anchor blend for that constant reminder. So when I talk about an anchor blend or, an anchor in general, I'm looking at an oil that reminds me of a specific state that I'm looking to be in. Besides the fact that Balance is all of our tree and wood oils, which is super grounding and really nourishing to the energetic body, I have this as a diffusing blend in my office all the time. It's my work blend. And a lot of people would say to me, like, don't you put energizing oils for work? I mean, wouldn't that make more sense? Like, you've got peppermint, which is a really energizing oil. And for me, because I know that my constitution requires for me actually to wind down more than it does for me to ramp myself up, I'm going to always be looking at oils like Balance, at grounding blends. So I'm going to always say that if I have a headache, the first thing I'm going to do is take myself away from a screen, and I'm going to pop Balance on the soles of my feet and go and lie down. I'm going to allow the energy to pull from my head down into the soles of my feet. So does anyone else have anything else that they use for headaches that they'd like to share? I'll move on while we're waiting. The next thing that I can experience when I have severe headaches from burnout is nausea. This isn't a very normal, I haven't heard of a lot of people actually experiencing nausea from this, but I get it. And I wanted to share from personal experience what I would use for this. Oh, adaptive can also help headaches. Yes, 100%. So I use Zengest. Yeah. Zengest, which is also known as Digest Zen. And I take a deep breath in from my palms. I also drop a drop under my tongue. And I've also been known to rub it all over my belly. In fact, I can, as Sandra has also mentioned here, use deep blue or ice blue on my belly for nausea as well. So a lot of the same components of deep blue and ice blue support me the same as Zengest or Digest Zen does as well. Copaiba is also really great for nausea and for headaches. So it's a beautiful oil as well. When I look at sleeping difficulties, when you're really wired, you want to look at oils that are nourishing and that really send you into a slumber. So lavender is an excellent oil to use. The thing with lavender that's super surprising about it is that it acts like an adaptogen. So if you are tired and lethargic, you can use lavender and it'll pick you up. And if you're exhausted, and but you're not able to sleep, it can really help ground you and put you into sleep. But the beautiful thing about lavender peace which is the oil that I would suggest for sleeping difficulties, is that it's blended with vetiver and marjoram, which are two oils that are excellent to help relax the body. I put this on the soles of my feet with magnesium oil. Does anyone else use magnesium oil? All over the body, soles of the feet, just before bed, and I add lavender or lavender peace, preferably a drop or two into my palms, rub it all over my feet, and then take a deep breath in. This is an anchor for me for sleep. So the lavender or lavender piece is an anchor for me for sleep, and balance is an anchor for me for working. So what happens is when I take a deep breath in of this oil or this oil blend, my brain immediately knows, it recognizes the fact that it's time to rest. It's time to sleep. It acts like an anchor. Have you ever noticed when you hear a song that you haven't heard for a while, or something that you and your besties danced to on a Saturday night 10 years ago in a club, right? And when you hear the song and you think, oh, wow, I remember that night so clearly. It's so much fun. And you can actually feel it in your body, right? This is an anchor. The song has acted as an anchor for you for that specific memory. Well, when we're using aromatics as anchors, we're programming that aromatic or that aroma to help us with a desired outcome, which is why when I say I used balance as my anchor for working, whenever I smell balance, it really does help me to find intention in what I'm doing and to ground my energy so that I'm more focused. When I smell lavender or lavender piece, that is my anchor to go into a restful night's sleep, or to at least close my eyes and take a nice few deep breaths so that my parasympathetic nervous system can be activated and stimulated. Let's look at things like fatigue and exhaustion. This is where you get to make your own little blends. Yeah. So fatigue, I'm going to look at things like camphors. We're looking at camphor oils like peppermint and rosemary predominantly. Put a blend of equal parts peppermint and rosemary together. Use it as a spritzer. Pop a couple of drops of that blend into your palms, or even use it in your diffuser. A really great pick-me-up blend. Rosemary, peppermint. Peppermint is really great for alertness, and rosemary is really good for mental cognition, or cognition in itself. So using these two oils together can really pick you up. And from an energetic perspective, the peppermint lifts us. So the energetics of peppermint is up and out. And the rosemary is like a roundabout, circly kind of energetic wave. And so these two together are really beautiful energetically. When you're looking at one step further from fatigue, when you're stepping into exhaustion, and people around these parts, they all like to think that I'm a bit of a drama queen. But when I get really tired and I start to feel tired, like opening my eyes hurts. And that feeling where everything hurts just to be awake. This is the sort of exhaustion that I'm talking about that can develop from burnout. So the oils that I'd like to use and to suggest to you for this are lavender, lime, and grapefruit. So the lime and the grapefruit are really uplifting. And with the lavender, they create a beautiful synergistic blend that helps with this exhaustion. It's important to remember that lime and grapefruit are photosensitive. So you never want to apply this blend to the body and go out into sunlight. You want to give it about 6 to 7 hours before you go out into direct sunlight, or even sunbeds. I don't even know if that's still a thing anymore, but I have to mention it because there have been cases in some parts of the world where, there have been issues with lying on a sunbed after putting photosensitive oils on their body. It did not turn out well, so please don't do that. Let's look at the opposite of exhaustion, energy production. So we can look at energy from a metaphysical point of view, and we can also look at it from a get up and go point of view. And so the oil blend that I'm going to recommend for this is lemon, wild orange, and eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is also that fresh camphor energizing aroma, and the lemon and the wild orange blend beautifully with this tree oil or leaf. doTERRA have got a proprietary blend of eucalyptus where there are many different types of eucalyptus and parts of the tree as part of this particular oil. In fact, eucalyptus, as doTERRA call it, they call it the eucalyptus blend. I don't know if you've noticed that on the bottles. Eucalyptus blend. And that's because there are many different types of eucalyptus in this bottle. It's beautiful. It really is proprietary. I could talk about eucalyptus. I've actually got full slides all about eucalyptus because it's such an incredible oil. So when we're looking to enhance energy, we can use that along with lemon and wild orange. Again, photosensitive oils, lemon and wild orange. So don't pop it on your body and go out into the sun. It's not going to end well for you. And then let's talk a little bit about this, that from a physical manifestation. I think I've touched everything. Jess said that she felt numb physically as well as emotionally. And for this, I would say, the blend for fatigue would be really great as well. Anything that's going to bring some circulation back to the body, which is peppermint and rosemary. You can also use ice blue. And what I would do with this, if you're feeling this at any point, is actually use it in a spritzer and spray it onto the body so that when those droplets land onto the physical body, you're feeling that sense of aliveness because they are stimulating oils and they will bring life back into the body. It will bring a little bit of a cooling effect as well. You want to make sure that when you're using peppermints, or any mint actually, that you're not going close to the eyes, the ears, the pits, or your bits. Yeah, eyes, ears, pits, and bits. Stay clear from those areas. They can cause irritation. Did I cover everything from a physical manifestation point of view here? What else do we have here? Brain fog, rosemary, and peppermint, absolutely going to help you. Pain, exhaustion, emotional dysregulation, we're going to go into a second with emotions. What else do we have here? Probably an obvious question. Never an obvious question. I'm tired. So with the photosensitive oils, can you dilute in a carrier and put on underclothing? So chest under a top. So I'm going to say no. And the reason is because I've had accounts of clients that have had a bath in bergamot in the morning and gone out fully clothed, right, with a top that was above her collarbones in Melbourne, where the sun does not shine very brightly, and went for a walk and received a little bit of a burn from it. So even though it's under clothes, it really does depend on a whole range of things. So there are certain medications that you take, pharmaceuticals, that can render you more sensitive to light. And they don't even need to be prescriptive pharmaceuticals. They can be things like antihistamines. Antihistamines render you more sensitive to light. So if you're taking an antihistamine and you pop a photosensitive oil onto your body and you go out into the sun, and let's just say you have a very light top on, as in like a very thin top, and the sun goes through the material, you may receive a burn. So for me, I'm always going to err on the side of caution and say no. There are a few citrus oils that are not photosensitive, but I'm not even going to mention what they are because a lot of the times this creates confusion. So then you're like, oh, this one isn't photosensitive and this one is, so I'm going to use this one. And the next thing you know, you've got a blister on your chest. I don't want that for you. So anything from rule of thumb, if it's a citrus oil, don't pop it onto your skin and go out into the sun. Save your citrus oils for nighttime, evening. This is, I'm giving you such cautious prescriptions here. I have like 700 layers on right now. So if I wanted to go and sit out in the sun, I wouldn't be worried about the fact that the sun is going to go through my quite literally 3 or 4 layers of clothing. So just kind of gauge it for yourself, but no. Yeah. Sun can still get through your clothes unless they're rated. Yeah, that's true too. Does that make sense, Megan? Does that answer your question? I'm always going to, whenever I'm supporting someone to learn about oils, I'm always going to give them the most cautious answer. And I know that this is something that you want to do from a business perspective as well as in with doTERRA. So I think it's really important for us as educators to always assume that when someone's learning, and this is something that I think of all the time, when someone's learning, like this is a lot of information for someone who's never heard anything about essential oil. So if that's you, if you're here and you've not heard this information before, A, you're going to have this recording to listen to forever, but B, know that it's completely normal to feel like this is a lot and, I don't know where to start. So I'm always going to give you over cautionary prescriptions when I'm talking about essential oils, because I don't want you to have a bad experience with them. Any other questions? Okay. Let's look at emotions for burnout. I'm going to give you one really, really beautiful, a really, really beautiful blend to use for burnout. It's a blend that I have used for overwhelm and feelings of unworthiness. It's a super simple blend, but it's super potent. It is frankincense, cedarwood, neroli, and if you're feeling extra special, rose. Not necessary, but really beautiful to use. This is the blend that I call spiritual liberation. Spiritual liberation. And the oils in this blend are really, really beautiful and really safe. You can use them on your skin, your face. You can use them all over your body. You can create a nice serum that you can rub all over. And you can anoint yourself with this blend. A little bit on the third eye, a little bit on the throat, a little bit on the heart space, the solar plexus, and the lower belly. Really connecting all of these energetic parts within the physical body. Kaz, yes, basil is a good oil to use. Basil is an oil that I would use specifically for adrenal fatigue. So in the event that someone is experiencing adrenal fatigue and therefore burnout, then yes, basil onto the kidneys, so the lower parts under the rib cage are great. And another really good one, if you're experiencing adrenal fatigue, is black spruce placed onto kidney 1 on the sole of the foot. Kidney 1 is an acupuncture point or an acupressure point that's located when you point the foot. So you plantar flex the foot. And when you point the foot, if this was my foot, there's a little point right in the center of the ball of the foot, like a little dent. That's kidney 1. And you place, what did I just say? Black spruce onto that point, and you hold it for about 1 to 3 minutes. It's incredibly powerful for adrenal fatigue. Of course, you're going to be required, throughout all of these different ways of using your oils, you're going to be required to also support yourself from an energetic point of view. So simple blends like On Guard, the protective blend, it supports your immune system, but remember what's within is also without. So when you pop On Guard in a diffuser, as you enter into a room or you come home from work or from a busy day out, you're creating space by diffusing that oil for you to enter, diffusing anything that may be attached to your energetic field or within the space that you're entering. So diffusing on guard is great. Tea tree is an awesome oil for creating energetic boundaries. So quite often I might just put a drop of tea tree in the diffuser on its own. And then last but not least, another blend that I highly rate, it's already created for us, is Easy Air. Breathe. And this brings me to the final piece of nervous system regulation, is that when we look at the breath or the respiratory system, and the breath in particular in the respiratory system, it's a part of our experience that happens automatically, but also that we can control. So the breath is something that happens when we're not thinking about the breath, but the breath is also something that we can use to regulate the nervous system when we're thinking about the breath. So when we first started tonight's call, one of the first things that I did was ask you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you, and to breathe in and out through the nose, importantly in and out through the nose, 3 times, and for your exhales to start elongating longer than your inhales. And the reason for this is because as we breathe out for longer periods of time, we're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. We're also toning the vagus nerve if we want to add in a little bit extra and hum that breath out. So we can breathe in and we can breathe out like this. Or you could breathe out like this. And every time you do that, you're toning your vagal nerve, which ultimately helps with rest and digest. Yeah. And so all of these things together, especially if you're using Easy Air and you are using a bunch of different breath practices, which I'm so happy to share with you if it's of interest to you. With Easy Air, it really does help to invigorate the lungs so that you're able to breathe in more oxygen, that oxygen may be delivered to different parts of your body so that you're able to function better. Yeah, burnout is the state of complete emptiness where you've used everything, you've depleted everything. And so we really want to start creating space for us to replenish and to nourish. And that's how all of these oils and these practices can really help you. And just know that if you're going through a phase of recovering from burnout, or at least stopping yourself from getting to the point of burnout, that this is a process. The more pressure you put on yourself to get it right, the less likely you're going to feel good about it. So allowing yourself the freedom to relax into it, to experience what it would be like, to rest more, these are all really important parts of recovering from burnout. Are there any questions? No. Nothing?
Not necessarily burnout related, but I find in the cooler weather, I get my sinusitis plays up, so I'm not sleeping properly, which then leads further in. So what would you recommend for like clearing the sinuses at night or in the morning when you get up?
I would use Easy Air for sure. Remembering that Easy Air's got peppermint and a whole bunch of really stimulating oils as well. So you want to make sure that you keep it onto this cheekbone and around the cheekbone, never in towards the eyes. And there's a pressure point, so in line with the pupil of the eye, right down below the cheekbone, right about here, is a pressure point that can really help to relieve the sinuses. So you will take a deep breath in of the oil, and then from the pupil of the eye, run it all the way down below the cheeks and press into this area here. And you do it like 3 little clockwise directions, and you can feel everything kind of open up. Something else that I've really been doing lately that's helped a lot is gua sha. Has everyone heard of gua sha? Or even just massaging. And it's not even massaging any parts of the face per se. It's actually opening up the lymph area from the collarbone all the way up towards the base of the chin. And so you're just gently brushing the lymphatic system, even if it's just with your hands, just like what I'm doing right now. It's soft and it's gentle, and you're moving your hands very gently up towards from the base, so where your collarbone is, and you're just gently. So if you have a gua sha stone, you'll be able to use that gua sha stone to lift the lymph. Quite often, severe sinusitis, if there's blockage within the sinus passage. Opening up the neck and the lymph nodes in throughout the neck and the base of the skull and the ears, it can really help to open and unclog the lymphatic system, which is our flushing system. So it's not enough just to release the sinus from the face. You also want to make sure that the lymphatic system is free and healthy and free flowing, so that it can eliminate that waste for you as well. So easy air to start with for sure. You can also use oils like Aroma Touch. I made a blend the other day, actually. I put it on my Instagram, so I'll send the link to you. I used Aroma Touch, Easy Air, Spearmint. I can't remember. I'll send it to you as well. And I put those oils into a blend, and I did this little massage that I just shared with you now. So just save that, and then you'll be able to use that whenever you are going through the practice of eliminating your sinuses. Yeah. So for those of you who have your oils, my suggestion would be to lean on the oils in the Home Essentials Kit. Most of the oils that I've spoken with you about tonight are from the Home Essentials Kit, except lavender peace, rosemary, lime, grapefruit, and wild orange. And then, of course, cedarwood, neroli, and rose. So those 8 oils are not in the Home Essentials Kit. And if you're looking to increase or to add to your oil collection, my suggestion would be to start with those, to slowly add to your collection and create a little burnout kit for yourself, so that as you're going through the motions of supporting yourself through these challenging times, that you have little blends to call on. When you're in burnout, the last thing you want to do is think about what to do. So prepare for moments where you feel stressed and challenged by creating your blends, pre-creating them, doing what you need to do, so that when you're in the moment of fluster, you literally just reach for it and use it. A lot of the times people say they don't use their oils, and the reason, I can almost guarantee you, is that they're not out. They're probably hidden in a drawer somewhere. So if you want to use your oils more, you have to put them in plain sight. Put them in the bathroom, put them by the kettle, put them in your office. Do what you need to do to make sure that you see your oils, so that you can use them hourly, daily. For those of you who do not have the oils in the Home Essentials Kit, my suggestion is going to be to grab a Home Essentials Kit. Now, a Home Essentials Kit is one of the highest selling kits that doTERRA have as starter packs. There are oils in that kit that are so incredibly versatile, oils which I have explained to you tonight on how to use them. I'd love to share this with you, actually. Let's see. I do have one little slide here that I wanted to share with you, so that you can see what the Home Essentials Kit has as a part of it. So let's present this. Who here has a Home Essentials Kit, and who uses it? Yeah. All right, my Zoom's not working to share the screen. Anyway, The Home Essentials kit has got 10 beautiful oils in it. And if this is something that you're interested in learning more about or purchasing, you can head over to the person who invited you to this class and ask them to help you sign up so that you can receive this starter pack. If you received the link to join this class through my socials or the emails that I sent to you, then I'm going to add in a little link to this chat now, and you can order your starter kit through this link. If you're watching the recording, you'll see that there's a link in the description that you can order your Home Essentials kit from. And note that over the coming few weeks, as I preluded earlier, our team is going to be hosting a bunch of challenges to help with not only nervous system regulation, but metabolic health resetting. And so this little challenge will start in the middle of July. There'll be a lot of information that will be sent to you before so that you can set yourself up and grab the products that you desire to help you along this challenge. But know that most of the oils from the Home Essentials kit will really support you through this challenge as well. And there are a whole bunch of things that you can do with them, with these oils, other than just use them for burnout. So don't worry about knowing how to use them. Just grab them, use them according to the pamphlets and the leaflets that I send out to you, and know that whoever's supporting you with essential oils will also be able to support you to use your oils as well. So if you've ever got any questions, you can always reach out to them and ask them. Their job in doTERRA is to support their customers and their clients to use their oils. I often joke about this, but I say my biggest nightmare is not that you don't buy the oils. You'll buy the oils whenever you're ready to buy the oils, right? My biggest nightmare is that you buy them and they sit in their box on the shelf. Like that for me is worse than you not buying the oils. So if you decide to purchase the oils, this is a commitment to your health. It's not just something that you're going to buy and use and fall in love with and then put on the shelf and never use again. My intention with teaching you in this way is that you use your oils, that they become part of your lifestyle. You're going to start to see so many things in your life shift because of this simple decision to purchase oils and to use them. Essential oils are volatile compounds. They are incredibly versatile. What I've taught you tonight about burnout is just but a pinprick of the ways that you can use these oils. And so I welcome further questions if you want any further information or education on these products. And I really do hope that you got something out of this class, and that if you already have your oils, that you have got them out and you're ready to use them for supportive practices like, helping you either recover from burnout or stopping you from getting to the point where you feel burnt out. Megan says, I got the emotional wellness kit and then the kids collection so far. Yeah, it's so good. I'm so glad you got that kids collection because it's such a beautiful collection. I actually traveled with it to Melbourne the other day and I just love it so much. It's not just for kids. I really love those blends.
I use it, my daughter will be in full-blown meltdown and she'll look at it, she'll go, no, I don't want to, I'll put it on me.
Yeah, that's right. That's such a good one.
She'll come in and want to snuggle and she'll tuck right
in. That's right. That is such a good, that's like devious, but also very good. Love it. Okay, so we have 4 more minutes left. If there are any questions, I'm here. Anything you want to share, I'm here. Nothing?
I probably do, but it's past my bedtime.
Mine too. You're so welcome, Kaz. So nice to meet you, Aline. You're welcome. Thanks, Jessica. Oh, Trev dog. My buddy. All right, my friends, I'm going to stay here just in case anyone's got any further questions. But if you're done and dusted, feel free to give me a wave and then leave the Zoom room. I will see you around. It's so good to hang with you. Thanks for being here. Thanks so much, Sandra. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Alrighty. Thanks. Okay. Alrighty. I'm going to stop this recording.